It's 2003 and I'm in a finance class in college. And today we're learning about something called compound interest. Now, I've known about compound interest before. It's that shape of the curve. It's, exponential in nature, all that. I knew that stuff. You make interest on your interest. I kind of knew all these little buzzwords, all these things that I've picked up before. But today we're really leaning into the power of compound interest. That is, that compound interest curve starts out pretty flat, but then it gets pretty vertical. So the trick is to get to that vertical part as fast as possible. So to do that, we learn about two hypothetical investors. The first investor we'll call Amy. She starts investing when she's 20, $100 a month. And she only invests until she's 30 years old, and then she stops investing. And we're going to compare her to Bobby. Bobby says, I'm not going to save my money. I'm in my 20s. I need to experience life. I'm going to wait until I'm 30 to start investing. And then I'm going to invest all the way until retirement. So Amy is going to invest for 10 years, ages 20 to 30. And Bobby's going to invest for 40 years or 30 years or some long number of years. I don't know what the retirement date is, but he's going to invest in his 30s, in his 40s, in his 50s, in his 60s, and so on. So he's going to be saving a lot more money. But because Amy got a 10-year head start, Bobby will never catch her, ever. By the time they retire, Amy has twice as much money saved, even though she put in a fraction of what he put in. We want to get to that steep part of that compound interest curve as fast as possible. Fascinating stuff, but as I'm walking home, I realize, how stupid am I? Why didn't I take advantage of this stuff sooner? I've been working since I'm 14 years old. Most of that money's gone, wasted, spent on things that I don't even have anymore, and I don't even remember what I did with that money. I could have saved it, I could have invested it, I could have set myself up for a great future. This is no small matter. I beat myself up over my inability to save when I was 14 years old, and 16 years old, and 20 years old. So 2 years later, I'm done with college, I'm looking for a job, and the jobs that I'm looking for come with salaries that are the highest I've ever made before. And I start to feel a little bit successful, a little bit proud of myself for my ability to get through college and get this, what I think is a high-paying job. Then it starts again. Then I think, well, wait a second. I have an old junky car. All my clothes are from college, and they're college kid clothes. And boy, I just don't know what these people are going to think of me. I have all this debt. Man, I have all this debt, so I really can't afford to go get new clothes, and I can't just get a new car without going into more debt. Man, what are these people going to think of me? And so in both cases, I let my inner critic get the best of me. In the finance class, I spent a lot of time thinking back about things that I should have done, things that I can't do anymore. Wasted all that time. I could have been proud that, hey, I'm doing something about it. I'm learning all this stuff. This is the catalyst for my ability to do something today to give me a better future. But instead, I was pissed off about my past. Or I could have been proud of the fact that I'm getting a higher paying job. And I can use that to set myself up for financial success in the future. But instead, I was worried about what some people who I've never met, who don't know me, what they may or may not think about me. Because it's obvious that they know I'm a college kid. I just came out of college, right? So why would they be judging me? It doesn't matter. In both cases, I'm lost in different time periods. I'm financially time traveling. Find out more right after this. Hey, it's Derek Hagan, financial therapist, here with another Money Health presentation. We're going to talk about financial time travel and what that means. So what we know, and what is becoming more and more popular these days, is the present moment is all that exists. Right now, this is all there is. The past only exists as memories in your mind. The future only exists as anticipation in your mind. All that exists is right now. And that's important because so much of our lives are stuck time traveling, thinking about things that are going on in the past, thinking about things that might happen in the future. And, the past and the future, they don't exist right now. And most of us, most of the time, are what I call not present, for lack of a better word. So, which means we're lost in thought. What lost in thought means is that you're thinking without knowing that you're thinking. You're probably saying something to yourself about me right now. Pause. What are you thinking? You're actually thinking right now, but you didn't know that you're thinking. We're effectively talking to ourselves all day long. So what that means, effectively, is that we have this constant chatter in our heads. And it's not good chatter. We have a built-in negativity bias. The ancestors who passed their genes down to us, they had to be far more aware of risks. Right? Because if you don't avoid a risk, you don't pass on your genes. You're dead. If you don't find a source of pleasure, well, that's okay, because tomorrow you can try again. So we had to pay far more attention to the negative. So we have this negativity bias. So we're constantly talking to ourselves. We're constantly lost in thought. And it's not good. We're always talking and thinking about the bad stuff. Now, think about this. If you had a friend that talked to you, that was walking right beside you, talking to you as much as you talk to yourself, you would hate that person. So what's happening? What's happening right now, we don't know because we're lost in thought and we're talking to ourselves. So this mental time travel, financial time travel, means that you're in the present moment. But we're mentally in the past. We're time traveling into the past, thinking about what I wish I would have done, or what I didn't do, what I did that shouldn't done. Replaying that conversation in our head, replaying that time we tried to ask for a raise, replaying those things, rehearsing now we're in the future, rehearsing that talk that we're going to have, worried about something that might happen. What if it goes wrong? Catastrophic thinking. Right, so both of these, throwing our attention into the past, throwing our attention into the future, prevents us from actually enjoying life here in the present moment. So when we go back into the past, that's when we feel these emotions of shame and guilt and remorse and regret. Regret is something that you wish you would have done but you didn't do. Remorse is something that you did that you wish you wouldn't have done. Remorse is very similar to guilt. Guilt kind of is deeper. It nags at you. You feel guilty for doing something that you shouldn't have done. And shame is probably the worst of these because it represents a big, broad stroke of I'm ashamed of the kind of person I am. When we go into the future, we feel different emotions like worry and anxiety. We're afraid. There's fear there of what's going to happen. It's the fear of the unknown. It's the fear of missing out. We rehearse what's going on and what happens when things go bad. What will we do when things go wrong? And so many of us fall for catastrophic thinking. Catastrophic thinking is jumping to the worst case scenario all the time. Like that's our default mode is, oh, this happened, therefore I'm going to lose my job. Oh, this happened, therefore I'm going to lose that business. Therefore, we're not going to be able to afford to go on that vacation. So right now, this is how it is. It takes practice, but understanding that we only have the present moment can change how you live your life. Right? So now I'm not suggesting that you ignore any of these emotions that are past-based or any of those emotions that are future-based. Don't ignore them. Don't push them away. Don't squash them down. Instead, learn to recognize them. Learn to figure out what they're telling you. They have good information. You just have to pick it out. You have to learn what it means. What does that regret tell you? What can you do right now in the present moment with that information so that you can make a better future? Or what is that fear telling you? that catastrophic thinking. Lean into it. Is that a realistic fear? Is that even possible? What if it happened? What would you do? Are you prepared for that? Right? And then shifting that mindset to taking risks is how you get ahead. So getting comfortable taking risks, getting it comfortable with failure, quote unquote, because, failure is part of the game. That's not really failing, is it? But understanding that you can recognize these emotions, you can feel these emotions, and let them pass through you. You don't have to ruminate on them. You only have one life. Live intentionally.